Hello, class. Um, Today we're going to talk about career choices in writing and publishing, our publication class, which in this field there are many types of choices you can make. You can be an editor, copywriter, uh, or journalist, which I chose journalist because that field is it has a very wide range. Now, in choosing to be a journalist, you have to know that there are different kinds of journalists, like there are newspaper, magazine, news broadcaster, different fields like that. And I chose this one because it covers a great deal of, uh, you have to have a lot of different areas in knowing how to write correctly. And we'll get into that a little later. In choosing the career choices, um, in career choices as journalists, we went over the different kinds. As you know, I put a little board to break down what we have to deal with education wise. Now, there's a little click to the education wise. Well, in time past, it was for some, but now you do have to have a bachelor's degree in journalism and communications, which should be your major, and your minor should be uh, have a minor in political science. But they do require a bachelor's degree and experience. Well, that has a kind of a click to it also. For some, it all depends. But when it comes to experience, most of them want you to have experience, but the school that you attend, whether it's university or college, can help you with your experience because they can direct you to uh, entry level positions in different places that can help you to get some experience. Because this field is so competitive, and I want to put a lot of emphasis on that word, this is a very competitive field. Um, you need some experience to go along with it. Okay, skills required. This is a very important one. The skills, you need to be a people person. You need to be a person of integrity. You need to be a person that has a go-getter mentality, that likes to get to the truth, that is interested in the truth. You need to be a person that know how to be patient with people, because you really gonna have to be a people person, because you're gonna have to know how to deal with people's in the atmosphere of maybe they're upset, maybe they're sad, maybe they don't feel like talking, whatever's going on. You've got to know how to deal with people. And when we do deal with the average salary across the board is somewhere around 39,000 annual. But there are two states, California and Washington, D.C. They are the highest paid states, which your pay does go by the state you live in. So if you choose that career, you need to know what the pay rate is for that state. It does matter because different states pay different things. So California and Washington, you can top out at $70,000 a year. Depends on who you're working for, how important you are to them, because the industry itself is a competitive field. So if you're the one that's the go-getter and can get the news, and you got good ratings, well, you get paid more. So that has a lot to do with it. And then the salary range, yeah, that's what we discussed. The pay industry, that's what I was talking about just then. It depends on who you're working for, how much you worth to them. And you do have a few perks. You have bonuses, which can, on the higher end, can range from $1,700 down, and then for your profit sharing around $1,000. Then you get commission, can be up to $7,100. So it does have its perks. And then, like we talked about, the pay by the state depends on what state you're in. And I wanted you to know the job outlook. Journalism has, which in our thinking, it's not bad, but when you look at it overall, it is. From 2012 to 2016, the job market as far as journalism in different areas, not just one area. Remember, I said it was many areas, various ways to be a journalist. Um, in that, it has shrunk from like 8%. Now we look at 8% as not much, not 8%, just 8. But to show you just how many are out there, 8% in the journalist career choice is like 3,500 people out of work. So 3,500 compared to 8%, which is the 8% of the amount that's really out there. That's a lot of people to be, at the bottom. So you have to look at that. It has, when a job market goes down 8% over, what is this? That amount of years from 2012 to 2016, not really bad. So you just have to be ready to get out there. And what's important? The most important thing about journalism is your integrity. You have to be a person of integrity. You cannot be competitive to the fact that you will jeopardize the truth. We've all seen that in a lot of areas of the news. They add, they take away. That's one of the downfalls. If we're going to do pros and cons, it's one of the cons. Some people in some areas do. They compromise the truth. It's important to have integrity, and it's important to have good communication skills. It's important to have good grammar. It's important to have the best skills in writing, because you got to be able to articulate what you have learned to other people. And your duty, as far as your duties is, it goes along the line of, integrity. And then you have to realize that you're getting a story from somewhere, giving it to other people. And, realize this. One of the other cons is that you will sometimes work in another country. If you have a family, it's going to pull on your family with you being gone so long. So you got to look into that. It calls for you to be very, very committed, because you sometimes you don't know how long it's going to take for you to get the story. And your duty to each person that you interview, or any area you work in, whatever you're doing, it's your duty to let them know when you're interviewing them, that they're being recorded, that you're writing down what they're saying, and that it will be reported, because everybody has that goes up under the legal part of it. You have to let people know that you are going to use their information. And to give you some proof of what we just covered, I used Peter Jennings. If we know, Peter Jennings did the nightly news for a long time, 22 years. Now, he was born in Canada, and Ontario, Canada. He dropped out of high school, which I was saying, at the age of 17. He finally went back, and then he dropped out of college. Then he finally went back. But in the midst of him all that, he got landed a job at a radio station in Canada, and that's kind of where he started. Of course, his father was also in broadcasting, and it was a point in time where him and his father was in a competitive market against each other, because they both worked for different broadcasting companies. So therefore, his education and his experience were by him dropping out and working at those different places, that gave him some experience. And one thing, he was really good at it. He had that go-getter mentality. He was eager to find the truth. It was important to him that he told the truth, about what was going on. As a matter of fact, he was the main one that covered 9/11, the Twin Towers. So he did that really well. He was very good at being a journalist. But you got to look at, he did a lot of things that was overseas in Syria. He covered a war in Syria, and which was dangerous. So sometimes you be in danger, and sometimes you know have to stay away from family. And a long time you have to jeopardize yourself to those things. But in doing that, he established. He even got up to being paid $7 million annually. So he was good at it. When he died of August 2005, he had a net worth of $50 million. So in 22 years, you know, that's way he worked with ABC. He made a good living. He made a good profit off of, but he really did work hard at it. So the main thing you got to know is, one of the main things is your integrity. I want you to keep that in mind. I want you to keep in mind that it is a competitive market, and you have to be wholeheartedly in it to succeed. And you can, but you just have to be the one that's determined to do it. And you have to have your education, and ask your facility to give you, direct you to a place that with entry level positions that you can get some experience. And you have to have those grammar skills and all those things down pat. The salaries can be good, and always watch your state, how they pay. Do they have bonuses, profit sharing, commission? And know that the job market as far as journalism shrunk just a tiny bit. When you look at 3,000, 3,500 people, that's kind of a big number, but not, that lets you know it's thousands out there that's doing this. So, and you need to know, one last thing I want to leave with you. You need to know a lot about political. That's where you need a minor in political science. You need to know what's going on, because that's how our world is ran. You know, politics is a big thing. You need to know how to articulate that to people. You need to know how to report that. If you don't know what you're talking about, you can't tell nobody. And people need the right information. Just like the hurricane Michael just came through. People need to know what's happening with your sports broadcaster. Whether he got to know how to do this. And a weather broadcaster, they have to know how to tell the people what's going on, what's coming, so they can take the proper procedures and get into safety. So if you don't know what you're telling them, don't know how to, you know, tell them what the weather is doing, the hurricanes, you put people's lives in jeopardy. So sometimes it can be. So that's what you need to do. One of the duties, you got to make sure you know what you're talking about. So education and experience and all that comes into hand. I do hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you will take advantage of the information that I have given you. And I thank you. Have a good night.